Okay, welcome again. This is part 4 of this series for Crusader Kings 2. I'm going to start the game proper now after my sort of 5 parts of faffing about. So, we're going to go as Dublin. I'm not going to do a fully fledged Let's Play because, well, I'm not sure why. I think I'll just be doing it in bits because this is kind of a tutorial thing. So I will be fast forwarding and onto sort of relevant points. Otherwise, it gets a bit tedious, I think, for everybody concerned. So the way I'm going to attack this is I'll just go through quickly what I would now do, assuming this is the first time I've played. So I would go up to our buddy boy here and have a quick shufty at what he's got, particularly things like his traits, just to get familiar. The most important thing is to make sure he's got an heir, which, as we know, he has. He's got a son, plus he's got 2 younger sons, so that looks pretty good. We'll also then go up and look at the succession basis, which is Gavelkin, so that's not good necessarily. As we explained before, Gavelkin splits all of your titles across your eligible heirs or your male heirs. At the moment it doesn't matter because the primary title will go to him, but if before we die we get a few more titles, then we don't want to go with Gavelkin really, because it will divide the titles across all of those, and we can only play one, so we'll kind of get back to where we started. So we'll keep an eye on that, and if we acquire a title before he dies, we'll change the succession. One of the key things on the changing the succession is that he must have ruled for 10 years, and again you can check, although we've just started. If you go to the Earl's shield and then hit history, you can see that he started as the Earl in 1052, so he's done 14 years, so he's able to pass the succession laws. Sometimes you'll start as a different character and you'll find that he's not been there for 10 years, so you can't do anything, but such is life. So what else will we then do? So we've done the succession planning. Next thing I'd do is I'd look at the vassals that we have. We discussed this a lot last time, to see what their opinions are, and we can already see that we had that problem with the Bish. He likes the Pope more than he likes us, so we're going to solve that by giving him a title. That will give him that cupbearer title. That will up his opinion of us, which it has just done, and also it means we'll get the income, plus we'll get increased levies. So we therefore may as well do the same thing with Buddy Boy here, and give him a title. We're less bothered about him because his opinion is positive and means we'll get taxed, but we may as well get it up as high as possible, just because we get a bigger levy out of him. So we've done the opinions of the vassals. We've only got 2, so it's not too tricky, is it? Then the last bit before we get going is the councillors. Sorry, hit them properly. So these are your sort of 5 councillors. It defaults the best ones into those positions to start with. Doesn't always do that when you get a succession, but does it at the start. So these councillors have to be used. You can't have them sitting about doing diddly, because that's a waste. So we've got our Chancellor, and he can improve diplomatic relations with people. We'll come on to that when we need to. He can sow dissent, which will destroy the relations in between vassals and lieges, which we don't want to do in our own court, because that means our vassals will hate us. And then of course this one, the fabricate claims, that's the thing we really want to do. So the first step I would have done, if I wasn't familiar, would be to hit this de jure duchies and start looking at where I'm going to try and claim duchies, so that I get these rights to attack the other counties in a duchy. If you remember in part 1 I banged on about that. We have 5 duchies here, which is, this colour coding is a real nightmare, but basically, so these 3 are 1, Those two, so those are the Duchy of Munster, those are the Duchy of Leinster, those are the Duchy of Meath, those two are the Duchy of Connaught, and those four are the Duchy of Ulster. We know that we have Dublin ourselves, and we therefore can, if we so wish, hit the de jure. We know that we can create the title Duke of Meath, and then use that to force a claim on the second county, Kildare. However, we need the money for that, so we can't do that yet. Another thing is, it just so happens that the ruler of Leinster is our dad, and our heir, his heir, is us. And that means when he dies, and let's be honest, he's doing quite well, he's going to drop dead soon, that title is going to fall to us, which is quite nice. So if again you look at Leicester, or Leinster even, there's only 2 counties there, so again we'll be able to create a duchy there. If we check on it now, the duchy is made up of those 2. Fortunately, if you go to create, it's the same cost, but we can't. We have 0 out of 0, of course, but that will change to 1 out of 2. Sorry, 0 out of 2. That will change to 1 out of 2 when our dad croaks it, and we will get that. So, in other words, we don't need to try and fabricate claims there, or there, because it's all going to come to us. So we may as well do it there, because that's a 2-county duchy. This is harder because to do the whole de jure duchy claim, you need to get 50%, and there's 4 in that duchy. If we look up there, Duchy of Ulster is all those 4, which means we'd have to get 2. So the best thing to do is to go for one of these or one of these, and since I think we may as well go for Breffin. So anyway, there we are. Fabricate your claims in Breffin. Now we go down to the Marshal. He can suppress results. He can suppress revolts. If you go to this revolts thing here, and then you look over it, it will tell you what the risk is. 2% is quite low, and that's because there's a different culture group in Dublin, and that is because Dublin culture is Norwegian, whereas I'm Irish, so you get a little bit of unrest there. We'll come on to culture later. It's a bit of a, not a minefield, but it seems a bit vague as to what that is. But anyway, you look at your revolt risk, and if it's sort of up to 10%, sometimes you might get the peasants who are really unhappy with you for some reason. That will go red. What you can then do is plonk your marshal there, and he gives you a local. You can see there, local revolt risk is -12, so he'll drop it by 12. You can train troops, which basically means he'll up the levy size you've got. Go to the Dublin, stick him there. At the moment we can get 228. Well, if you stick Buddy Boy in there, he'll up that by 30%, which is useful therefore when you're about to invade somewhere. But until now, but he doesn't have any of those 2 really of any use at the moment, so you may as well do the default, which is research military tech. So we'll just double him in there. We'll look at techs later. Steward, he can research the economy techs. So let's go to techs anyway. There's military, economy, and cultural advances. So he does the military ones. He can help you with the economy ones, but we don't want to do that because there's 2 things he can do to speed things up. One is he can speed up construction. So if you're about to build one of these little things here and it takes you, 365 days, stick him in there and he'll speed it up. Or, and this is the main one, collect taxes. He'll increase taxes, as you see here, by 37.5%. So slam him in there, and that will up the amount of tax we get. Spy Master can try to build a spy network to plot against other people. He can uncover plots against you, or he can try and steal a technology by going over to somewhere which has got lots of technology and seeing if he can nick it. As you see, there's a chance of him getting discovered. Anyway, at the moment, since we've just started, it's best just to try and uncover plots, because you want to see if anyone's up to anything. And then become the chaplain. He can do a number of things. He can head a local inquisition. What is useful here is that if you take over a county which isn't the same religion as you, then you end up with a bigger revolt risk, because they'll revolt against it. So you can send him off, and over time he'll try and convert them all and get rid of that revolt risk. Alternatively, he can just research cultural tech, which was the third one of the texts there, or he can try and improve religious relations between you and one of your bishops. Now, if you look at our guy here, we know that we've given him a title and he's up, but he's only a little bit up. It won't take much to annoy him, and we won't be getting any income. So I think we should send him off to improve religions. Now, bizarrely, well, not bizarrely, but unfortunately, because it's such a small county, he's actually the same bloke. He is the court chaplain. So what we're going to do is send him off to improve religious relations with himself. So if he can't do that, he's a feckin' idiot. And anyway, we'll see what happens there and then. And then last few things here. Pick an ambition. This is a bit daft, I think, on these, but you know, you get these little ambitions where you get a reward for getting them. But I think short term, let's just have a daughter. So he's got 3 kids, may as well have a daughter. Unmarried heir, which we'll come on to very shortly, and then we'll just touch this one. This is one title can be created, and this is our de jure title. Again, because we have half of the counties, so it will just warn you that it's there. You can get rid of it, but I'm going to leave it there for the moment. Doesn't mean you have to do it, it's just telling you you can do it. So then the last one, before we hit the start button, is really this one, unmarried heir. You really need to, once your heir reaches 16, you really need to think about marrying him off, because you can get alliances and he can start having kids and producing heirs, etc, etc. And in this instance though, the decision that you have to make is kind of, well, there's three competing things here. One is you could use this to get you an alliance, which is useful because you can call them in when you're having a war, or you can use it to try and create claims on other counties. You know, if you've got someone who is the daughter of the ruler here, she'll get a claim. She might get a claim on that county. If you marry a son, when they have kids, the kid might inherit that claim. So that's one thing we can do. Now the way to work out, really, well, if you go and have a quick look, you'll find, I remember this last time, none of them seem to have any kids that are female. So there wasn't really any we could marry for that at the moment. So I think it was like that everywhere. So, you know, there's a sibling, but he's got, you know, he's a bloke. So they're not going to be produced. So therefore, I don't think the inheritance at the moment. Obviously, we can marry elsewhere around the world. We could marry someone over here to get an inheritance there, but I think we're getting ahead of ourselves because we wouldn't be able to press it. The thing I like to do, and this probably goes against the grain, is actually to click on the arranged marriage and then sort by stewardship. As I hope we kind of remember, stewardship increases the amount of tax income that we get from there. You remember the stewardship bonus. So since we need money up front, I want this guy, because his stewardship is not exactly brilliant, I want him to marry someone with half decent stewardship, so that when he comes to power, half of that is added to the state stewardship, which is what we need to collect taxes. Plus, hopefully, when they have kids, these traits will fall down on the child. So I'm going to try and genetically engineer some nice kids. So I'm going to go not with the alliances or anything like that, but I'm just going to have a quick look here. Make sure they haven't got any sort of traits that are really nasty, particularly the ready ones. You know, like this one is lustful. That's not so bad, maybe, but it's also got a hare lip, which is not a German bloke. It's obviously going to make her less attractive. So it's kind of you know, much of a muchness. I'd like to go with her apart from that, because she's young. I'm just wondering whether it makes any odds. Shall I do it? Because these are getting a bit older, and we need them to have kids. So diplomacy is -1, 12. Sod it. Yep. Let's go with her. See what happens. So we'll send that off to be considered, and then we will unpause Again, you do that or hit space, you'll hear me smacking space every so often. And then we'll up the speed to 3. As you can see, there's the diplomacy tab. And now we are on our way. So they are married. And do we want to gain gold? We may as well just gain the prestige. And they've accepted to get married. That little ambition's gone, and she has now arrived at court. And we didn't bother checking this, but she does actually have a claim on the county of Yin. Where the hell? I like the fact when you click on this, it takes you close to it, but not. I think that's it there. Is that it? Or is that Ghent? God, it does that all the time. It gets me all the time. This does. I click on it, and it takes you near it, but not quite near enough. I'm probably going a bit blind, and it's probably brutally obvious to you lot where that county is. But anyway, that claim should hopefully pass down to their kids. So that's a Brucey bonus. If I had been spending more time, I would have obviously been looking into that. But as I say, I was going for this more for stats. Now, if you come back to the map, you can actually see summits going on here. There's sieges going on. So, what is happening here? We've got Duke Murchad of Munster is sieging the city of Waterford. That's Duke Murchad. That is what he's done is he's attacking Duke Murchad in the War of Ormondian Independence. So what this geezer here has done, he is part of the duchy. This is the only duchy that exists at the moment. These two were together. If you remember, when we first started, these two were tied together, and this bloke here was his vassal. Well, this guy's now made an attempt to go for independence, which is why they've now split and they have a war. It looks like he's kind of ballsed it up though, because, well, actually they're laying siege to each other's. I think they are there. Lord Mayor Ragland. Yeah, so at the moment they're laying siege to each other's counties, which is nice for them. So we'll let them get on with that. It's probably going to end in, well, I don't know, I'll predict probably that he'll end up being defeated, so he'll end up getting both counties and it will be reunited as a duchy. I don't know. Anyway, here's some tedious stuff about our technology, so I'm not going to bother with that. So anyway, at the moment there's nothing happening, and this is one of the things I found quite hard to start with, which is sometimes you looks like, you've set it all up and then now what the hell has happened? Oh, there we go. The War of Ormondian Independence has been won. Duke, what's his bottom, has won it, and he's stuck him in jail, so he's now in jail, and they now have a truce. Generally there'll be a truce for 10 years. I'm not sure which way. I think it works that he can attack him because he was the one who attacked, so he has to now observe a truce. If he breaks the truce, he'll get opinion hits with every Christian prince, which can be quite dangerous if you keep doing that. So basically, he has been imprisoned, and what that actually means is this guy could probably revoke the title off him and take it himself if he wants. That's what I would do anyway. So we'll see what happens there, but that's told you about him. There you go. God, he's done it all already. Duke Murchad of Munster revoked the county of Ormond from Reginald from Raglan Jobs. So there you go. When I click on Ormond, he's now there. The guy who was in prison is now disappeared. So this is what happens if you play as someone's liege, someone's vassal. You can try and become independent, but if you get beaten, you're liable to get booted. So that's all very nice. Oh, and there was a peace offer, so he actually gave up. He actually gave up in the end. Anyway, that's all very fascinating. What we need to do is have a look at claims, I think, to see where we're going to go for this bit of the tutorial. Sorry, actually before that, I'm all over the shop again. it's a bit weird that nothing's really happening for us, but it isn't too weird. We've only got one county, we've only got 3 vassals, and you know, it's early doors, so you will find yourself having to fast forward if you're playing at the kind of 1 county level. The best bit of advice I had, because when I first started playing this I got a bit despondent with that. I thought, this is really stupid, it's all set up and then there's nothing happening, but believe me, it will do. And the best advice I saw on the forums was that keep telling yourself, well, this, in the first century, the first 100 years, it's going to be like this, which is actually true, because although I've been banging on for 10 minutes, we've only gone a year up. We haven't even gone a year yet. What you'll find is, as you start to take counties, you'll have more vassals, you'll have more issues, people will start to attack you more. And in all the games I've played so far, I've started at the base, and I've fast forwarded a hell of a lot for the first sort of 30, 40, 50 years, but then it starts to get going, and once you get up to past 100 years, I don't think I ever fast forward, because there's too much going on. So don't be disillusioned if, when you start right at the bottom, i.e., you know, you're not starting off as the King of England who's got shed loads of issues on day 1. You're starting off as you know, little Dublin. Anyway, this is good. So, so this was, if you remember, we sent our councillor up to improve relations in Dublin. So what he's managed to do, he's managed to convince himself, given that he's the only bishop, what a great bloke I am. So, you know, I said he'd be an idiot if he couldn't. So if we just click on him at 46 and we say perfect, you see that his opinion of me changes, and therefore it's gone up, as you see, to 71, and it will adjust. Oh, it's now 72 even. So there you go, that was worth doing. We will let him keep doing that for a bit, because again that also increases the size of our levies slightly. Our levies now are 225 for our domain, and then there's 101 from these two. Those numbers will go up the better the opinion, as we were discussing before. Right, anyway, in the last 10 minutes of this part, since we're just floating along here, let's talk about claims a tiny bit more. Oh, my wife's kicked the bucket, and the ruler is unmarried. So let's just pause it a second. Now, the issues this has from the point of view of heirs, it's not an issue really. We are, yeah, we've got 3 kids. However, he is lustful, and if he doesn't have a wife, he might go blind. So the other thing to worry about, though, is that all these state numbers have now fallen. Actually, do they fall, or do you keep your dead wife's? Let's keep it going a bit, see what happens. I wonder if maybe you do keep your dead wife's stats, because I've always thought it should fall down now. Does? Oh yes, it does. Sorry, it has done. I'm talking bollocks here, aren't I? It says the wife, but then it ignores the wife. You can see that that 16 is just us and the councillor. So last time we were looked in here, we had you know, the amount of income we're going to get is falling a little bit. It doesn't seem to have fallen too much, but I think you should marry again, because you want someone who's going to have those stats on them. So if we look on him and look for someone with decent stewardship, I mean, let's be honest, there's not a lot out there, is there? So let's forget that for the moment and not worry about it too much. So we'll keep going. That is our uncle has died. Lovely. I mean, not lovely. Poor bloke. I feel terrible. Anyway, let's go back to the claims. So we banged on about the claims last time. We've sent off our Chancellor to fabricate a claim over in this one. So he's there at the moment. We know that we have a de jure claim there, because the de jure Duchy of Meath we can create the title for, and we will inherit there, and the de jure, let's put these de jure kingdoms up, de jure duchy, sorry, that will be a de jure duchy of, as you can see, Leinster. So when we inherit that, we'll have a de jure claim on that. So this bit's kind of all taken care of, and hopefully he can fabricate some claims. So what are the other ways that you can do this? Well, one of the other ways is to invite someone over who has a claim, and then press the claim for them. So the way you do that, firstly, is you need to find claimants. So Tyrok, still can't say that. You're looking for claimants. There's only one guy, and you have this little thing here. Would not accept an invitation to our court. If you press, he's not an adult. That'll be why. So let's just keep moving around the counties and look for claimants. So these guys are all saying they won't accept. Let's have a look at why. I'll come to that in a minute. That won't. He likes us as much as he likes his bloke. So he says +1 opinion for us, but then -1 because he's got a good opinion of his bloke. This is kind of like it's like a cumulative. Plus, there's no reason for him to move, which is a bit bizarre since he's got a claim. And then there's a base reluctance. He's got to have a reason to move. If you have a look, though, there's his claim. And what we can do is you can press claims for anyone who's in your court. So what you do, you invite him into your court and you press the claim. However, it gets a little bit tricky because if you just press the claim, it means you have a reason to declare war. In this case, we'd declare war on there. But if you just declare war and then you win the war, what happens is it's his claim, not yours. You've just pressed it for him. He'll get the county. So then you'll think, well, what the bloody hell's the point of that? Well, firstly, he'll have a very high opinion of you. So it's possible you might be able to ask him. If you look here, there's this thing, offer vassalization. It's been a long day, seriously. So what that basically means is someone who's lower than your rank, you could ask them to become your vassal. In other words, they just give up their right and you become the liege and it gets incorporated in. Now in this case we wouldn't be able to do it because he'd be the earl of that county and we're also an earl. But once we become a duke, we'd be able to offer him that as an option. But he could just say no, in which case we've wasted the effort. So the other way to do it is to make it worth his while. So what you do is you bring him over, you wait until you're a duke, you bring him over and then you give him one of these counties. Okay? So you basically give up your title to that and you give it to him, which makes him your vassal. Then when you press his claim, he'll let you have the county outright. You'll then be taking it for yourself. And that's because he's had a claim on this county. Let's go back to our mate. That's not him. So he's got a claim on his county. He's not going to give it up for anything. But if you give him one of your counties, well then he will. And so that's kind of something to be aware of. So when you've got the money, when you're looking for it, you should you can look for people to press their claims. But at the moment, there's no point doing it really, because we need to be he'll be an earl and we'll be an earl, and we need to be a better rank so that we could make him our vassal. So that's the fabricating claim. And the other way is to go off and marry someone, marry a princess, or it doesn't have to be a princess. Marry someone who's got a claim on one of these counties, which, as you saw before, I was looking for any of these people who've got daughters. But once they have a daughter, they will inherit a claim. They should inherit a claim when their dad dies on this on the county. If you marry them, that claim won't be able, you can't press it yourself, but any kids you both have together, that claim will go down on your kid, and if he becomes your heir, well then you can press that claim. So anyway, this is another one of these things here. Some hunting, my work bores me, conversations bore me, some hunting will cheer me up. So there's a 50% chance of a disastrous hunt or a good hunt, or he can go birding. Well, he's got no wife, so I don't know what birds he's after. At the meantime, his second son, has now reached age and is a dutiful cleric. These little square things here mean our careers. Once you reach 16, based on their traits and their training and their tutoring, they are given a career. Some of them are, they're okay. Some of them are, like our bloke's got misguided warrior, which is rubbish, but sometimes they're very good. Midas touch is one that you want to see. Anyway, the last thing I wanted to say in this bit, okay, here we go. Our steward has been collecting taxes again. Let's go up and have a look at him. Remember, on our steward, when he collects his taxes, the local tax modifier goes up, so he gets an extra 37%, plus a special tithe can be collected, or the peasants will attack him. In this case, a special tithe has been collected, so we've got an extra £7 or £7, 7 gold, 73. So that gets added. Right, I'm just going to pause it there, because the last thing we want to talk about, or to think about, is what are we going to do when it comes to actually pressing a claim. Say this guy managed to fabricate a claim. Well, we need to have enough gold, and we need to have enough gold because I think the safest thing to do, since you only have one county and therefore you don't have much in the way of levies, is to hire a mercenary. And the way it would work probably is you'd have to pay 75 and quite a hefty monthly cost, but what I would do is I would save up enough to cover this cost for a couple of months. So when you declare war, he'll raise his levies, you raise these mercs, you send them in, they'll trounce his levies, you can then get rid of the mercs, raise your own levies, and then start sieging. So the goal now, having set this up and fast forwarding, is to accrue enough gold to either be able to hire mercs if this guy fabricates a claim for us and we can use it, or if we're still waiting, we need to be able to get enough money to create this duchy title, 197. And once we do that, that will give us a de jure claim over Kildare, which we will then be able to press. So at the moment, that's where we are. We've set it all up. We're now just waiting for him to fabricate the claim, for the gold to rack up, also for our dad to kick the bucket. We could have a go at helping him, but it's a very low chance, so we won't do that. So we get Leinster. So that's where we are at the moment. I'll see you shortly.